of you out there know me for my New York Times work or my wildlife photojournalism stories, or even perhaps me talking about Leica gear here on YouTube. But I also own and operate, alongside with my wife, a visuals agency based out of Vietnam called Mott Visuals, and a good chunk of our work is photographing and filming luxury hotels and resorts around the world. I know, it sounds like a really tough job. And in almost 20 years shooting and filming commercially, this particular property and shoot that I'll discuss today is the one that inspired me probably the most. I feel it's easily one of our best, if not the best shoot that we've ever done. So today I'm going to talk you through the shoot and share some photographs along the way. I'll share with you guys our process as a visuals team. And in the end, I'll share with you the final brand video we delivered to the client so you can see how the photography style drives the video and cinematography that we produce. So the client here was InterContinental Beppu Resort and Spa, kind of a mouthful. It's a luxury 5-star resort located in the onsen capital of Japan. If you don't know what an onsen is, I'll explain that later, but it's essentially a hot spring. And we did this shoot in 2 segments, a pre-opening photo and video conceptual shoot while the property was still under full construction, so we're shooting a lot off-site. And you might ask yourself like why they do this with the property not even open yet. They do this to create a buzz for the destination, for the property when it opens, just so the marketing team has some visual assets leading up to the launch of the property. And then after that initial shoot, around 6 months later, we returned to do a full shoot of all the product shots. That means we call product shots like shots without models of all the rooms, the lobby, the restaurant, the spa. And then we're also going to do a full lifestyle shoot, so shots with models, or in this case, 1 model. And then lastly, we're going to do a hero video for the property along with a few shorter cut down videos focused on spa, destination, and dining. So we had a lot of visuals to capture. We're going to be there for a long time. So today I'll focus on that second part of the shoot, walk you through why I feel it worked, and leave you with some takeaway lessons from both the creative and the client side. So for this phase 2 part of the shoot, we were there for approximately 3 weeks with a little break in between each shoot just to give the team time to rest and recover. And we also had to stay a couple extra days because a typhoon forced us to stay there, and the hotel graciously put us up with food and lodging for those extra days, so that was very kind of them. So here's how we work. Every team is quite different. So for a big shoot like this, we use mostly our core team, which resides here in Vietnam. We travel together, so that's a mix of full-time staff and then semi-part-time staff for creatives like a cinematographer and freelance models. So we segmented it into 3 parts. First, the product and room shots without models, then the shots with the models, then we're going to do the video shoot last. Sometimes this order varies depending on different people's schedules, but this sequence is actually ideal for me most of the time, as the visuals tend to improve as the shoot progresses. So the product part of the shoot without models is a lot less stressful for everyone because it just has less moving parts, no models, no makeup artists, no wardrobe and such. And this allows me to understand the light and work at a slightly slower pace and just sort of get in a groove and understand the property. So then by the time we do the second segment of the shoot, the lifestyle shoot with the models, I have a good feeling for the property. I have a good flow working with the client. I understand the light more, and we're just in a more fluid flow as a team and with the client all together. And then the third segment is the video, which is probably the most challenging because it has the most moving parts. It's the hardest technically, with more gear and more movement, and all has to work cohesively as a story, so it just tends to be the hardest. But by then, we're truly in a good flow working as a team with our own team and with the client as well, and understanding the property and knowing what works and what doesn't. So that's kind of the flow, and that's kind of how we work. But what made this shoot my favorite ever, and what made it my most successful ever commercially? So I'd say 3 key elements made it work. I'd say first, inspiration played a huge role. I was truly inspired by the destination, by the architecture, by the decor, by the overall minimalistic Japanese Zen vibe of this property, and then the setting perched into the mountainside overlooking the city below and the sea below. It was all just sort of magical. Everywhere I turned my lens, I could use my background rather than having to work against it, which often happens at a lot of properties. So this property actually has a proper unique selling point, or USP as they call it. That's like the acronym world. I didn't know, like the first shoot I did, I'm like just sort of Like, oh yeah, I know what that means. They have, each industry has their own acronyms and you have to learn them pretty quickly or else you sound pretty stupid and you could miss things as well. But most properties that we shoot, if I'm being honest, don't have like a proper USP. They really don't. It's usually like a beach view or a big pool or something most other properties have as well. So it's not really unique. This property, however, was centered in the onsen capital of Japan, in Oita. The town is famous for their natural hot springs, and the tourism scene also centers around the hot springs. So the resort really embraced that and built their own luxurious onsen and relaxation experience in the resort. So it was truly unique, not just the destination, but how they incorporated the destination into the property as well. So for those of you that don't know about onsen, they're essentially hot springs, but the proper onsen definition is a hot spring of over 25 degrees Celsius that contains a certain level of minerals. There's a whole tradition and culture that goes around this that's too deep to cover here, but it's an amazing experience and it's really relaxing and I absolutely love it. So I started every day before we started shooting with an onsen, and I ended every single day with a long onsen session. I've never ever in my entire life slept as well as I have on this entire shoot. Every day I felt like reinvigorated, truly. Like I crave to match that level of sleep that I had on that trip. So I was in a good mode. I was inspired by the architecture. I was inspired by the surroundings. I was inspired that I wanted to include things in the shot everywhere I looked rather than try to frame them out. It was a good start, but it takes a lot more than that for me to call the shoot the best ever. So just a quick note here, guys. I noticed a good portion of my viewers aren't actually subscribers. Boo-hoo. So if you enjoy this type of content, it really does help if you take a moment to subscribe by just hitting the button below and join our little community here, or just subscribe and lurk. Either way, take a moment if you don't mind and hit the subscribe button. All right, so number 2 on my list is team. I am lucky enough to be surrounded by an incredible team that supports me on every aspect of the shoot. So our producer, our assistant, our wardrobe, and the model as well. We only had one model, her name was Erica, and she was fantastic in every single aspect. Working with her was a pure joy. So the concept we came up with for our full visual package was a one woman getting away on her own for some relaxation, a place to go, to be alone, and to escape the world and find yourself or rediscover yourself. And that was going to play a role into our photographs and into our video as well. And they were going to work cohesively as a full visual marketing package. So our model Erica was easy to work with, and she just had the exact perfect look for the property. Credit to our casting team for finding her. The model photographer relationship is paramount. We have to work well together. We have to trust each other. She needs to trust me that that extra 5 minutes boiling alive in the onsen is essential for the perfect shot. I'm kidding, but not really. I did make her stay in there kind of long. But both of us have to care about the quality of the shoot, and we have to put that first. And of course, within reason. I'm not going to have her risk her safety or anything like that. But at the end, we need to trust in each other and we need to be working towards the same goal, and we were. And then the rest of our team, photographers and directors, get all the credit for a successful campaign, but the credit should be evenly scattered to the entire team. So just a moment right now to thank you to my team. Perhaps I don't say this enough, but it's something I'm working on. It's something I'm changing, something I'm doing right now. So take a producer, for example. I mean, they're really the mom or dad or both on the shoot. They drive the schedule and they allow me to pivot when an unplanned shot pops up. And that happens a lot for me because I follow the light, and they have to be problem solvers. And my team is, because a lot of problems pop up on every single shoot. So it's not just our team that needs to be fantastic to make the shoot go well. The entire marketing team and the staff at the property play an integral part in the process as well, which leads me to my final and essential point for a successful shoot, or why this shoot was successful, and that's freedom. For this shoot, the client gave us full autonomy and trust, and that was so important to the success of the shoot. It allowed me as a creative to pivot and follow the light when necessary, and to create shots that were off list when they presented themselves to me, as they often do the more time that you spend here. I'm not saying every creative team deserves autonomy and trust, but we have shot dozens of shoots for IHG, for the IHG brand. We are an official approved vendor, so I feel like we've earned that trust. The fact that they gave it to me only inspired me and pushed me further to elevate my work. And this isn't to say the dialogue wasn't open when they had suggestions, but they contributed to aspects and elements of the shoot that they should contribute, like about certain foods or certain uniforms and things like that. And you'd be surprised how much a client can get in the way of a shoot rather than contribute. And more times than not, they can get in the way. It sounds crappy to say that, but it's true. Unless you have a really good client, in this case we did. We've had clients change their mind mid-shoot, and you can't just do that for a video shoot because everything has to work together. Or some like have lens ideas, like, oh, what about if you use this lens? Like things that aren't in their lane or their expertise, and that can greatly jeopardize a shoot because all the time that you're focused on trying to be polite and please them, it's time that we aren't capturing the visuals that we were paid and agreed to shoot ahead of time. Like our portfolio is filled with visuals that we achieve without one shot that a client told me what lens to use. We work in a unique way as an all-in-one production team, but we have a system, and that system is constantly evolving, and that system is how we get the shots that are in our portfolios. So like me personally on a shoot, I play sort of 3 roles on a shoot like this. 1, the photographer, 2, an extra director or co-director for our cinematographers, as I can often sniff out unique compositions or assist in directing the action of the models while the cinematographer is focused on the technical part or the creative aspect. Like I can take some of that away from them, or if they're having a creative block, I can step in and come up with an idea from composition. They can operate technically. And I'm also sort of the boss on the shoot, or at least I used to be before my wife took that role from me. But we do a lot of these like hybrid situation shoots, video and still, sometimes at the same time. So if the light and the scene is working really well during the video portion of the shoot, I can definitely and often do bust out my camera and fire off a couple shots. Because we've already got the models and the wardrobe approved, I can make it happen. I can make it happen quick. And that's a huge advantage that we bring to the table because our team all works together. So like losing the boss role of having to like talk to the client a ton while I'm trying to be creative at the same time is fine by me. And my wife does a much better job of that than I do as well. I can focus fully on creative, which is a better overall product for a client. And that's always our ultimate goal. So a few lessons to unpack here for me and maybe for potential clients or for people on both sides of the industry, the creative and the clients. First, if it costs a little more or even a lot more for your production, but you think you'll be using the visuals for many years to come, like in this case, they've been using these for several years and they use them a ton, do it once and do it right. And consider how that cost averages out over 5 or even 10 years compared to doing like 5 budget shoots in that time that you have to redo every year. Another lesson for you photographers out there is don't undervalue your team and surround yourselves with a solid team and show them love and include them in the process and include them in the gratitude. If the client doesn't, make sure you give them a pat in the back. Make sure you tell them how valuable they are to you. And if the client does trust you, don't take advantage of that trust. Don't break that trust. Instead, use it to inspire you. Use it to deliver at the highest level. And don't walk away with this saying, I think you should exclude the client, but you need to communicate with them ahead of time and be clear of how you need to work as a team and with them to achieve the visuals that they hired you to do. Be nice, but be honest and be clear. And make sure you separate your ego from your ultimate goal, which should be to get the highest quality visuals for your client. So if your client does have a lot to offer, does have a lot to say, if there's something different about what you do and what they want, be open to hearing them, be open to adding them, but just have a clear level of communication and make sure your goals are in line to achieve the best quality visuals. Being a professional photographer is all about shining when circumstances that aren't favorable, either with challenging visuals or a tough client or both. But occasionally all things click, as they did with this shoot, and I'm extremely proud of my team for the final result. So here is the final video, which you can see blends nicely with the photographic style we established in the first part of the shoot. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more of my work, more of our team's work, check out our revamped Mott Visuals website with all of our commercial photography and video work in the description box below. Here's the final video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you stay for the video. Bye for now.
There is a place where nature's majesty and breathtaking design It's a place where your senses are spoiled by familiar things made new. New sights. New sensations. New tastes. In this place, every detail matters. And every day ends as it begins. In bliss.